So let's talk about students for a second. Do you think that students need to be educated on this business side, which is the majority of what we do every day?
Absolutely.
More than they are?
Absolutely.
You do?
I think they need, and I don't know how many of you are design students, but if you plan to be in design and you're going to be in furniture design or product design, you need to know CAD. It is the communication system of the world right now. Mm-hmm. And it's not just architects that need it. Everybody's doing some design work. You need somebody in your office who does it. You need to have a little bit of understanding about the business model and what some of the business models are. And I'm so surprised with these for-profit schools that teach interior design. I'm not talking about the big schools like Parsons and the New School. I'm talking about the smaller for-profit ones that come in. We have an interior design school and everybody can go get a job if you take 2 years in interior design. They come out not knowing anything.
Right.
They come out maybe being able to do a floor plan, but I think there is so much skill. Once you have the basic skill, the rest of it's easy because you have a skill you can use and then you go on with the other talents that you have. But probably, if you want to look at it in an opposite way, some of the best designers never went to school for design. I see a lot of kids. I hire kids from the Art Institute. I hire a lot of people out of college. And interesting, the Asians always come, or historically have come, the Russians and the Asians have come better equipped, better trained, and better skilled than the Americans.
Really?
Why? Because they probably started in high school. Mm-hmm. Oh, the South Americans too. And they're very rigid. I have my design director is from Colombia and the director of interiors is from Venezuela. And they both are so disciplined in the academic way of drawing, of putting things on paper, putting it together, of following through, because you couldn't get through school if you didn't do that. So it was a much tougher school.
So the education
It was a much tougher
better.
school.
Oh. So you said you do hire, do you bring in interns? And
Sometimes interns, sometimes we do a competition with the school, at the School of the Art Institute, and so every year they choose one that we give an award to and they come in as an intern.
That's great. And you also sit on the board of the Art Institute, is that right?
Yeah, I do.
And has that been a rewarding sort of contribution?
For me or for them? For me, it's been okay. I am so busy. I get to about half the meetings. Mm-hmm. But no, I think it's good because you see what's happening in the school and you see how much technology is taken over even that school that used to be about teaching or letting people learn creativity, whatever that meant. It was a painting school. And it's become, the film school there now is very important. Mm. And it's a good part of it, but it's nice to see the different categories of art and design. The fashion design portion there is strong. We had Ralph Rucci come in and do a talk with the students, and that was fun. So it's been good. That's
great. So going back to Holly Hunt, the company, what's been the toughest market for you to enter?
Brazil are the dumbest one. You know, they say it takes twice as long and costs twice as much to do anything in Sao Paulo or anything in Brazil. They're wrong. It takes 4 times as long and 4 times as much. So we will open there next month, but it hasn't been easy.
And you thought it was important to be there, obviously.
Oh, I don't know. I thought it was a good idea back then. You know, sometimes just because it's a good idea, it doesn't mean you should necessarily do it.
Right.
We went down and did Casa Core with them. It's the big market like Milan is in Italy. Casa Core was for them. And one of the designers asked us to make a lot of furniture and send it, which we did, and that worked well. And I liked the energy, and everything seemed good, and the commodities were up here, you know. And so they were minting a billionaire every 2 days or something. Well, since then, it's kind of fallen down, but assuming it will go back again, everything is an ebb and flow. So, but it's a great experience. You learn something everywhere. So we have learned a lot about Brazil. I think it's a great country. The taxes are too high. You can quote me on that.
Okay.
Not the taxes that they charge the people, they're the taxes to import in. Their import taxes are huge.
Yeah, because they want everything made there, right?
Yeah.
They do.
Ask me about my quantum leap.
Okay. Talk to me about your quantum leap.
My quantum leap is, we have had an ERP. If you don't know what that is, that's one of those computer systems that puts everything you do together. So we've had that for a long time, managing what we do. We're upgrading that, and we're doing a forward platform. Because the quantum leap is, we're going from almost zero technology, even though we did have an ERP, to being able to service you guys online. We would like to acknowledge orders online. Imagine, just think about a paperless desk. And even if it's not paperless, maybe you only need the drawings. You don't need all those invoices and requests for, I don't have your fabric yet. I don't have your drawing for approval. Did you do your sample for approval? Did you do, what if you could answer all that online? And then you could order online. So we're doing, in order to do that and to do status online, you have to get all the people who supply you online with the information. So this is a huge, huge, huge program, and I don't know that we'll be able to do it with everybody, but for everything Holly Hunt makes, we'll be able to do it. We'll launch it probably second quarter 14, and we think it will take us another 6-8 months to get people who want to tie into it to be tied in. About 60% of what we sell now, 65% we actually make and control, and the rest of it we rep. So
you've just now talked about, a major sort of quantum leap for your company.
yeah.
What is there something that you think is inevitable that's going to happen to our profession?
Change.
Right.
Life, death, and taxes.
Yeah.
I think that, I don't know if it's going to, I don't know that I would separate our company, our industry from our country or the world. I think we're in a time of worldwide and global change. There's so much adjustment, and you don't have to hear it from me. You can read it in the paper, but I don't think that anybody's separated from that.
You think our pricing structure needs to change?
Our pricing structure will absolutely change.
Yeah.
No question about it. Because I think we'll be selling the European model, and you'll be selling to a public, maybe at 20 over designer net, maybe at 15 over, something like that. And designers will absolutely have a discount. I don't think anybody wants to sell made-to-order furniture to the public because it would be a nightmare. So you want to sell that to a designer.
Right.
And maybe you have 2 lines, maybe you don't, but I think it's changing. People can't stay in business the way it was. It's transparency in pricing. It's transparency in everything, because your clients want to know. The other thing that's happening is all of those clients that you have, or clients that designers have, are much more interested in knowing the sources, shopping for themselves, being involved than they were before. And you got to accept it. It's going to be that way. And it's okay. They still need you. They still need you to clean it up and show them how to use it and sources. They don't have time and so forth, but they're much more involved. But the whole people using design and designers are younger, smarter, more design aware, and much less predictable than they have been in the past. So to sit back in a design center and wait for people to come in is probably not what you should think that your business plan should be.
Exactly. I agree. And as we said earlier, I think it comes down to talent, and that's what separates
It does come
people.
to talent. It's talent, it's sourcing, it's awareness,
Right.
it's ideas, it's innovation. All those fun things that you go to design school for.
Exactly. So a couple more questions. Who do you admire, any profession?
People used to ask me that, and being from Chicago, I always said Phil Jackson. Anybody know who Phil Jackson is? It's been a few years. He was the coach for the Chicago Bulls and then later the LA Lakers when they won all of those national championships, because he could take this disparate group of talent and put it together and have them work together. He was a brilliant coach, and he had all the egos, and they all worked together. Tadao Ando's been my favorite architect for as long as I've known about him. He does spectacular work, and he was untrained He was a natural. He got into architecture as a natural thing, and he learned on the job. But I've been to some of his work in Japan. Magnificent. But I think I admire people who can get out of the norm and do something in a different way that makes a difference.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's, if I look back and go back to being a kid in Texas, and, you know, because of my mother, my brothers wanted to be valedictorian, and they were. I didn't want to do that. I just wanted to be accepted. And when your father's a school superintendent, acceptance is not always so easy because you look like you're too. So I was an embarrassment to my parents, I will tell you that. They thought that when Holly graduated from high school and went to college, it was the happiest day of their life.
What are you certain of?
Death and taxes.
Okay.
I don't know that I'm certain of anything. I'm certain that everything changes and everything evolves in this world. And if you get too certain about things, you get stuck.
So what legacy would you like to leave?
You know, I think legacy reminds me a bit of when we said before, think about the product first and the money will follow. I think legacy is kind of what you think about after you're dead. I don't want to think about legacy. I want to think about doing the best work I can do now, making a difference, if I can make a difference now, and move on. And if somebody happens to remember something I did later, which probably people won't, it's okay. Maybe my legacy is my 3 sons. Mm-hmm. You know, let them decide what their work is and how they want to go, and maybe their children will be theirs. Mm-hmm. But I think that as much as you want to be accepted, you also want to make a difference, and they're not mutually exclusive. So I go back, I don't think much about legacy.
Okay. Well, I know that the audience would like to ask you some questions, but thank you, Holly. This is great.
Well, thank you. It's been a pleasure. Thank you.
So do we have questions?
I know I talk too much. It's okay.
Holly, in opening showrooms around the country and around the world, have you had to edit the product
Yes.
for the and is that changing? Is it becoming more homogeneous, or are the regional differences still intact?
I understand what you mean now. When you said edit, I think about we try to edit everything, and it's hard to do, but we don't. We're editing for Brazil because I don't understand the market there. And so I've hired a fabulous crew in Brazil. We have a great crew, and they're telling us. But it's very interesting. If I go coast to coast, I'm not in Atlanta, but Miami to New York to LA, even to Dallas and San Francisco. Chicago is a little more Midwest. They all sell the same thing. Now, Miami and New York sell more Christian Lieg. LA likes things that are a little more odd. They're more mixed. They're more eclectic. And they don't like to buy what everybody else does. But other than that, the product it's amazingly homogeneous about what people buy across. And I can't tell you yet for sure about London, but we do $1 million in London right now. I have a showroom who sells for us in Taiwan. I have one who sells for us in Moscow. And it's kind of the same stuff. Maybe it's because all of our stuff looks alike. I don't know. But I don't, I think it would be different in Asia. What do you think? Do you see a difference, a big difference?
I would have thought that that there were regional differences, that people even affluent people in Texas would have a different design sense.
Well, they do. They're a
people
little more
in New York.
traditional, but because I'm selling more modern, I sell the same modern there that I sell in LA and other places, so the same pieces are, more or less. But yeah, I would say Chicago and in Texas are a little more traditional. So I have some more traditional and some that are more modern. But I think the one thing that we do differently, I don't want my showrooms to look alike. So we don't take a showroom look and plant it everywhere. Every showroom we have in every major city, I try to make it an experience that looks local, or looks better than local, but looks like it belongs there. It's easier to do when you have a street front showroom than it is when you're in the design center. But we still do it, even try to do it within the design center, because if you go to Miami, we have that large 3-story building we made into 2 stories, so I have the big skylight and the glass stairs and so forth. In LA, some people like that showroom better. The ceilings are a little lower, but I have the part of the glass and wood floor, and it's a beautiful showroom, even though it's in a design center. But I think it's also fun to go in places that look different. You don't want to go in the same store in the same place all the time that look alike, you know? When you're traveling somewhere, you want something different, right?
Actually, another quick question for you is there been a #1 seller of any single product that you've made that?
Yes, we have had some. Sometimes we'll have a chair that sells in the hundreds, or we'll have a sofa that sells in the hundreds. And if you add the years together, it can be thousands. But, and usually in those last 3, 4, 5 years, and then it goes to something else. It's going much faster now, though.
Is it?
Yeah, I mean, the things that sold really well, instead of having the 7-year life, then had a 5-year life, and maybe now it's a 3-year life.
That light fixture, that, you know.
Yes, the one from Kevin Riley, designed by Kevin Riley, with the candles that Restoration Hardware knocked off about 5 years ago, put on the front of their cover. Yeah, that one.
Right. You see it everywhere, but you brought it out first. I mean, that's been a huge success.
I know, it was a huge success, and it was very, very forward when it first came. Mm-hmm. And, but you know, that's what happens. Right. The good news about our business is that it takes a few years for people to figure out that it's good and knock it off. If you have clothes, it's about 5 minutes and it's at Zara or somewhere.
Exactly. So, other questions? Jill?
So, Holly, along the lines of, you know, not doing business plans too early, what have you done? Have you been very strategic about your own brand promotion, or have you kind of allowed that to be organic, and how much time have you kind of spent on that?
I think everything that we have done has probably been a bit too organic, and I think a little more strategy might have been better. We seem to get on it, and we do something really good for about 2 years, and then we get focused on other things, and we hire other people, and suddenly, oh my God, those ads are horrific. We just redid a book, and we're going to have beautiful ads for the next 2 years. We'll see if we can stay on it. But I think I have found it very hard to keep the quality of everything up all at the same time. And then you have the salesman, Dan, are you here? Oh, there's Dan. We got to advertise it. We got to have something for contract. I said, Dan, we don't have anything for contract. Your girls are out selling contract. It's okay. Yeah, we're going to advertise this and we're going to advertise that. Then you look at this thing all this shit that we just advertised, and it's not brand image, right? Mm-hmm. It's not. And so I think we need to think a little bit about that. But they're always, and I love Dan. They're always the sales drive. With the volume drive again, and you're always trying to balance those things. We try not to stay too rigid, because I think in a creative business you need to be flexible. We need to be able to be innovative and so forth. But I'm very proud of the company we've built. I'm very proud of how far we've come. I'm not proud of everything we've ever done. I think that your point is well taken. I think we can be more strategic about brand and image.
So let's take one last question. Yes.
Hi, Holly.
Hi.
My name's Kyle, and as a designer, I've been buying from you for the last 10 years. And
Thank
I
you.
want to commend you, because at least in New York, you certainly do have the most innovative and experiential showrooms, the best staff, and the best
Thank you.
product. And I've been able to make a living by selling your product. And for me as a designer,
If you're selling it.
It's amazing, right?
Thank you.
And the product sells itself. And so in that, you've created a brand that is unto itself. And before I worked for myself, I worked for Martha Stewart. So I know a great deal about branding. And so you are a very, very strong brand in the marketplace.
Thank you.
You touched upon that the end user, the client, is so now involved in every detail, how much is the freight? How much is this? How much is that? But I've noticed since '08, while I've been fortunate to have clients in a business, and I've been diverse as far as where I've been selling, where I've been working, everything today is a negotiation with the client. Everything is a negotiation. And, the prices in the showroom are not negotiable. My services are somewhat negotiable, but I still need to make a living. And you've talked about change and technology and all of these things. What would you say to the one-man show who's 10 years in the middle of his career? What more can I negotiate to keep going?
I understand what you're saying, and I think we've been in this box of we make a certain amount on the product, we bill at a certain hourly rate, and we do this. I think you have to step back and say, because as designers, we're using the money of our client for the deposit, we're using the money of our client to buy. So they have a right to know what's the cost of the product versus what's the fee, what's the markup, what's the freight cost, and they want to know because that's where we are in the world today, and it's very easy to find out. They can know from their, attorneys still bill more than you guys than we do by hour. That may even come to an end. But I just think you have to figure out I don't know how to be more efficient. If we could be more efficient, and when we do this quantum leap thing, it's going to be a lot more efficient for everybody who works with us, because instead of having the staff to make the telephone calls to find out where it is and take 24 to 48 to 72 hours to find out if I'm getting it on time or not, all that hopefully will kind of disappear, and we can get rid of the big stacks of paper and go more paperless. I think that will help with efficiency. And I don't know what else, except, Hermes doesn't mark their stuff down. They pretty much, but it's because of the talent, it's because of the control of nobody in this business is going to be successful unless you know how to sell things. And I'm sure if you're successful, you know how 50% of what you do is going to be selling it, right? And that means getting the trust of your client. I can't tell you exactly how to do it, but it will probably be different. I don't know if it's how to price differently, but there's no trust in the industry, or there's a big lack of trust in the industry when everybody knows everything and you're trying to keep prices secret.
It's true.
And the whole thing about secret pricing is just,
right.
Not working anymore.
Well, and I'll tell you that I actually had this conversation at lunch today, and that it does come down to trust, and it comes down to clients' perception of value.
Yes.
If everyone feels that they have value, then they will pay.
Yes.
But what I just recently said no to a client who asked me to reduce my rates. And I said, why would you want to put me in that position where every one of my clients gets charged the same amount, and you want to be at a different rate that's lower than everybody else? So you're putting me in a position which actually puts you in a disadvantage, because when I have to think about the services I'm offering, or whether we're doing products and we're looking for a different license for somebody, that if I know I'm going to get a lesser rate, then I don't want to be in that position to treat them differently. But it's human nature that you will treat them differently if you're not being charged. And the client turned to me and said, you're right, why would I ever put you in that position? And I think that you have to stand for that, and you have to be the Hermes that says, I'm not on sale. This is the value I bring to you, but you have to be able to communicate that. And
you have to be able to produce the perceived value that they get, so they recommend you to the next client and the next client. I think it's a very hard thing to move away from where we have been with the list and the net price, and it's not going to be that way so much anymore, and we just have to figure out how to work with it.
It's true. There's a lot of work to be done.
Yeah.
There is. Well, Holly, thank you. This was fabulous.
Thank you.
And really appreciate it.